Good afternoon, Muskegon. It's time for Touring into Your Show for news, information, and more. Hi, I'm your host, Gregory T. Robertson. We have a great show today. Now, look, I need you to do what I'm doing, okay? I want you to go to the WUVS 103.7 The Beat site, and I need you to share this, put it on your page, and let's get the information out. Let's do some housekeeping. If you're driving down the road and you would like to view this later, you can try WVS 103.7 The Beat Facebook site or M106. It will be revolving, so it will be going over and over again. If you have questions and would like to ask questions, that's the way you could do it. Also, subscribe and like us on our YouTube page as well. WVS 103.7 The Beat LP, of course. And we'll really appreciate it. Let me get our co-host in here. Mr. Melvin Burns, how you doing, sir?
I'm good, my brother. How are you doing today?
Little hoarse, sound like Froggy, but nothing new.
Well, it's good to be on with you on this Friday afternoon.
Yeah, it really is. People say, you guys have been talking about some heavy stuff. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yep,
And going to continue to do
yep.
that. But today, I've got to say something before we get our guest on. Congratulations to Nancy Waters, who's now retired.
Mm-hmm.
Years ago, Nancy believed in this bright-eyed, bushy-tailed guy that was running for office and said, I believe in you, and go ahead and run. And I just want to send out love to her. And, she stepped down, and happy retirement, Nancy. I know, Nancy, that we were questioning a lot of things, but it was just to get the information out. But we have nothing but mad respect for you. Any
Yeah.
words, Melvin?
Yeah, let me add to that. For people who don't know, I knew Nancy Waters and her husband Jim before I knew them.
Me too.
Little kid at my house, they called, leave messages for my dad. This is Nancy Waters, Jim Waters. It was years before I met him. Of the time I've been at the city, been back in town, she's been nothing but gracious toward me. I want to wish her the best in her retirement. I'm sure she'll pop up from time to time somewhere, but I want to wish her the very best.
Well, on this April 21st, it's a beautiful day for April. We have good news. It's not one of those days where we have the punch you in the face news. We have great news. Something that you have not heard of. I don't think we can say, I think this is a first for America. You have a person that served as clerk, appointed as a Republican, and then came back, and she's going to have to tell her story because now she gets appointed as a Democrat, and everybody just want her back. One of the most humble people that you will meet. We love her dearly.
Yes.
I got to say it. I ain't said it in a while. Put your hands together for Karen Buie Jenkins, my sister. What's going on?
Hi, how are you?
How you
Good. Yeah,
doing?
hear you.
I'm doing wonderfully. Wonderfully. Thank you.
Karen, how does it feel? You got to tell people your story.
I am so humbled and just overwhelmingly gracious for all of the miracles that's happened. I just consider this a miracle, truly. I actually was in Dallas because I was a flight attendant. I was flying when I got a call from the judiciary indicating that Miss Waters had retired and that they needed to do an appointment, and would I be willing to come back? So my spirit was just comfortable with that, and I said yes. So they said, we'll call you back. They called me back when I landed in Dallas. They were in session, and had already taken the vote just to
Yeah.
call to tell me that I was appointed. So I was gone for 5 straight days. So I wasn't even in the state when it happened. And it just seems surreal to me because I loved my community. I loved my job. Nancy Waters, I've known her since I was a child too. My parents used to babysit Mark. So we literally grew up together. And she's done a phenomenal job. She has moved this office to another level as far as updating the records, how the records are scanned in, how the voting systems are put in place. When I went into the office, I didn't even recognize it because I literally had not been back in that office since I left. So they had to show me around. Where's my office now? It's on the first floor instead of the second. Where's the commission board meetings held? So the staff is phenomenal. The elections clerk, I had actually wanted Kim Grimm to come back, but Kim was with the city. And she is so loyal. And so she said, but I have someone there that is just as proficient. And she is. And so I met Lori. And we went to a clerks meeting the other day, met the other clerks, introduced myself, put everybody at ease, because I think when another administration comes in, they're not quite sure how your personality is going to collaborate with everyone else's. So I wanted to make sure that I put their minds at ease, that I wasn't coming in with this upheaval and changing staff and what have you. So I think everyone feels comfortable now. I got a chance to meet with the commissioners, and so I'm just ecstatic. Even though I haven't started officially till May 1st, I've already been working with the elections out in Casnovia because they have 2 new clerks out there. So making sure that they're comfortable with the election, because I start May 1st, the election is May 2nd. Talking with the commissioners to ensure that they feel comfortable with the elections that are coming up rather quickly. I started pretty much working already, which is fine with me because I feel like I needed to kind of get a head start on the changes and so that I'm jumping in with both feet, but feeling comfortable doing so.
Pastor Burns.
Well, you know how excited I was for you, Karen. I mean, had you thought about ever coming back running for clerk again, or had you thought about any of this?
Actually, no. No, I hadn't thought about any of this. And the funny thing is, my husband had, though, because he had kept talking to me about, well, maybe you should run again. I was like, nope, I'm not running again. I'm not doing it again. And we were actually cleaning out our shed in the backyard, and I had all of those
Campaign
signage
signs.
left from my last campaign that said reelect. And I was like, honey, why don't we just throw these away? How am I going to be reelected? Well, God had another plan. So those signs will be used again. So I'm looking forward to, I love campaigning because I love meeting people and interacting with the community. I just hate fundraising. And so that was one of the questions that Judge Case asked me. How did I feel about running for reelection? I said, I'm all ecstatic about that. It's just the fundraising. So he laughed. He said, I think we all hate the fundraising. So, I'm looking forward to it. I'm really, really excited. I think the shock has worn off now. When I saw, we even have Nancy even got us a parking space now. So I'm grateful for the little things that are there now, but she was phenomenal. I had an opportunity to talk with her on Sunday, and we had a wonderful conversation, and she was grateful that I called. I just wanted to let her know how much she was appreciated. And I tried to get her to go out to lunch, but she's really busy trying to prepare herself for moving. And she said, if there's anything that I need, or if I have any questions or need any assistance in any areas, she's more than willing to help me. So that to me is a win-win situation for the entire community.
Right.
Mm, yeah.
Now, the elections that are coming up, like you say, May 2nd,
Yes, there's some
they're school
proposals on
board
school board.
renewal proposals.
Yeah, so it's a simple election. It's just the fact that I have an election the very next day.
Hmm.
Um, but with the school millages and what have you, the proposals, they don't have to be in until the next day, the results. So that was a question that my elections clerk had. So by law, they don't have to be into the day. So what I suggested that they do is to fill out the forms, have them uploaded into our website, and then the clerks can bring them in the next day like they normally do. I didn't want any kind of questions or having the clerks upset that they have to come in that night when it's not necessary. So I just want a smooth transition. And I think by working together with the clerks, we're going to have to work together because of the 9 days early voting. And some of our townships are small. So we're working towards a resolution that maybe the county will host a neutral area where all of the
Mm.
clerks can come in and have their ballots available for those individuals that want to participate in the early voting. So, yeah, we've already started preparing.
Now, speaking of starting preparing, this is you're coming into a new situation as far as a clerk. I mean, the people don't trust the clerks. You're coming into a new system. How do you want to calm people down and let them know that things are going to be fine?
Well, I think the important thing is to educate people and to be seen in the community. And, I was really focused on making sure that the clerk's office was very visible in the community when I was there. And I think we need to get back to that. We probably need to have meetings with the churches, with different organizations, having community meetings, just to put minds at ease as to how the process works. Making sure that they feel comfortable and that they know that their votes, all their votes count, that there's integrity in the voting system, that they can trust the voting systems. And it's all about education. I think once people see it, a lot of times people are basing their opinions on hearsay and looking at
Hmm.
the things that are portrayed in the media instead of having hands-on experience. So I think it's really important. We don't wait to the last minute to do this. We do that every election cycle. We start preparing people 1 or 2 months out before the election. I think it should be a yearly thing that, during the year that we educate people, that we keep it in the forefront of people's minds. So if you're comfortable seeing the process, you'll be more comfortable when it comes to the election day.
Exactly. Pastor Burns.
And what year did you leave office before, Karen?
2008.
Okay, so going in, looking. I know you haven't started yet, but what feels different about it, and what feels the same?
Of course, the physical plant looks different.
Yeah.
And the records office on the 6th floor looks the same. The vaults look the same. They laughed at me because I wanted to see the vaults. I don't know what it is about the vault. I think it's because I used to struggle trying to open it.
Uh-huh.
So I wanted to see the vault. Everything the same. The beautiful thing is there are no more paper court records. It's updated
Yeah, yeah.
immediately from the courtroom, which really alleviates missing papers, not having things filed in a timely manner. So that's a beautiful thing. Having the customers sit outside the door to fill out their paperwork was different to me. I'm so used to them coming in and doing it in an office. That was a little
Hmm.
different. And that was pretty much it. It felt good. The clerk's office itself is a little smaller than I was used to, but
Hmm.
that's okay because, according to our administrator, we're at some point going to be moving over to the Baker College campus, and
Right,
that
right.
is gorgeous. It is gorgeous. I had him laughing. I'm like, I don't want to go back over there on Apple Street. I want to go I want to stay on Marquette. It is
Yeah.
absolutely beautiful. So I'm looking forward to moving there too. And
Hmm.
I'm just really impressed with the staff, and I really want them to be at ease, and to know that uh, I respect their positions. I'm there to be a support. Um, they kept saying, "Well, we were wondering what it's going to be like to work for you." I said, "You don't work for me; you work with me." So I
Right.
want to get that connotation out of their heads. You don't work for me; you work for the community, and you work with me.
Hmm. That what you just said is so important. I remember being a varsity coach, and I stripped everybody of their titles and said you're assistant to the whole process, the whole team. We're all one coaching body.
Right.
How important is that?
Exactly.
Because, like, people think that as far as their positions, no, you are part of a system. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, I spoke to the judges about that, the importance of making sure that if they look good, I look good, the records department looks good. We're one unit. And it's important that we all listen to one another. If there's questions, if there's concerns, that we address them immediately. We don't let them fester and people get attitudes. It's important that you create a an atmosphere of harmony.
Hmm.
Everybody has their own stressors based on their positions and the different duties that they're responsible for. But if you have open lines of communication, you have an open door policy, not being afraid to approach someone, not being afraid to present your ideas, it can change the whole atmosphere in the entire county building. And that's what I'm hoping to do, just to make sure that people know that um, that our office is open to serve, and you can't lead without being a servant.
Hmm.
There's no little I's and big U's, and so I'm not unwilling to do anything that my clerks won't do. And so we have to come together and make sure that we meet the goals of the office and ensure that it's important for the judges to have all that information because that affects people's lives. So we have to
Right.
make sure that information is accurate and is filed in a timely manner. That the judges, if they have any concerns, I'm going to be meeting with them. I'm going to be meeting with the bar association, and see what the concerns are, what the issues are, and see if we can address those um,
Hmm.
right away. Because there's so many proceedings that go through our circuit and district courts. It's important that the community feels that we are addressing their needs. And if the judges are frustrated, then it kind of rolls downhill. So we want to make sure that everybody's on the same page.
Hey, question to you, Melvin. Melvin, take the interview. I got to change something, okay?
Okay. All right. Karen, hey, we just go with the flow around here.
Yeah, we do.
So Karen, now you're appointed, and when would your appointed term end?
It actually ends November of next year. So I have to
Okay,
run for reelection next year.
next year. Okay.
Yeah.
Any other issues on the horizon next year? Of course, that'll be a presidential election year
Yeah, that's going
also.
to be
Any other?
huge.
Yeah, it'll be a big election. Any other issues on the horizon at the county level that you'll be coming up in the next year or so?
No, not really. The elections is going to be the front runner of everything, and I want to ensure that everyone feels comfortable. We want to
Hmm.
make sure that our precinct workers are properly trained, that our poll watchers, that we don't have any controversy at our polls. It's just
Hmm.
it's unnerving to think that people would come in there with ulterior motives to cause issues or concerns, or have people feel unsafe going to the polls, the workers not feeling safe. So that's going to be
Hmm.
my number one priority, is to ensure that we have all bases covered, and that we have a smooth and proficient election. Um, and I've gotten a chance to meet some of the commissioners. I was really wondering how they would receive me, because I was
Hmm.
appointed initially as a Republican, and then I came back on the Democratic ticket. And
Yeah.
it was surprisingly smooth. And Judge Pittman mentioned this even with the appointment. He was like, he expected some kind of pushback, and there was none. So that's a blessing.
Yeah. Any of the commissioners there when you were there before?
No. No, absolutely no. They're all new.
Yeah. So, not Patty, what do you attribute that to? You said there were no issues came up. What do you attribute that to?
I think it's just because of being able to work on in both atmospheres, and as far as the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, and both parties know that I'm fair, that I'm really not that partisan, that I believe that in what's right, whether it be party affiliated or not. And I think it's just being able to work with people. To be in public service, you have to be able to work with people from all walks of life. And that's, and I think the Lord took me out of that arena and threw me into the air just to get a better rounded experience in regards to meeting people from all over the world, difficult people, angry people, happy people, prayerful people. I mean, I've met every type of personality there is in the world. So there's nothing that surprises me anymore. And learning how to address the issues that people have and to de-escalate without causing any disruption to the process. So I think that there was a reason for everything. When I initially lost, I was really, really sad because I loved my job. But God had another plan. I mean, he needed me to go to a different arena and to get more experience, travel around the world, see different governmental entities, see how other parts of the world operate so that I could come back here and serve my community even better. I really got an opportunity to see how blessed we are here in the United States. As bad as it is sometimes and how frustrated we get, we really do have it well. Other countries, not so much. Not so many freedoms, not the ability to freedom of speech, sexism. I mean, I saw all kinds of hindrances in just living. And so I have a totally different idea of what of service is. Yes.
Yeah, I like what you said, that perspective. And again, people who don't know, I left the city in 2006 being terminated. And when you talk about that idea of being away from it, getting some perspective, it's like, it's like when I'm doing it now, it's like nothing seems that bad anymore. It's like, you know what? We'll figure it out if we want, but we'll keep going on. And I'm sure.
Right. It does.
They didn't bring the right form, or they didn't bring their ID. It's like, there's worse things in the world. We can figure something out. Exactly.
And some of my flight attendant friends customers, would complain or have issues or be angry. And one of them, I'll never forget, he's like, "But did you die?"
I don't know if that's what you would have said.
It didn't. It didn't kill you, right? We can fix it. You're going to be fine. So and just taking the seriousness. It's serious to them, but when you kind of put a little humor with it, they're like, no, it wasn't that bad. My thing just didn't scan right, So, it's just keeping things in. Nothing is totally an emergency unless it's life-threatening.
Yeah.
And everything can be fixed or addressed. Yeah. I think Greg is coming back.
Hey, the show must go on.
Well, Greg, we were talking about, I'm back at city management. Karen's back at the county clerk. I think you're gonna have to run for that state.
I was going to say, don't say it. Don't say it.
Yeah.
Don't. Maybe the third time is the charm. Don't say it, please. That's like praying to God. God, give me patience. No. No, it's been a while since I ran for office, and my wife would have something to say about that. But anyway, Karen, we are so excited for you. And your office is more than elections. You
Yes.
have a lot to
Yes, it
do.
is. There's a lot to do. There's circuit court record keeping. There's marriage license and um, death certificates and DD 214s for the military and genealogy. The drawing the lines for voting precincts and it's just there's so many aspects to it, and making sure that the community is educated. I think that's a number one priority too. But yeah, it covers a lot of ground, and um, that's what makes the job so fun, is because no day is ever the same, and you get to do so many different things and meet so many different people, and just most of the time when people come to our office, it's pretty happy, as far as getting marriage licenses. Not too often do they come to get death certificates. That's handled through the morticians and the funeral homes. So the people that come in normally are getting the marriage licenses, or they're getting information about their genealogy. They're getting their birth certificates. So yeah, I see the happy people the majority of the time.
Pastor
Well, that's
Burns.
good. That's good.
Go ahead, Pastor Burns.
Oh, Karen, I was going to ask you, what are you going to, have you officially resigned from your position with the airline?
Well, yes and no. I'm going to be doing a reduced schedule, so I probably
Okay.
will only be flying on weekends.
Oh, you are?
Um,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
just till I get to October, because in October my retirement is up in October,
Oh, I
and
hear you.
I have lifetime flight benefits, so they'll
Yes.
only be seeing me on a couple
Yes.
weekends a month. Yes,
Yes.
so yeah,
Our
so
younger listeners may not understand this kind of strategic thinking, but
yeah, I'm gonna be a little tired when I get into the office, but that's okay. I can do that for a few months.
yeah, oh, I hear you. Okay. Well, we'll be praying for your strength, but that's good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You said genealogy.
yeah, genealogy. That's
So
pretty interesting. We're, huh?
go ahead.
Genealogy is really interesting. We have genealogists that come in and do research on family trees, historical facts. And in our offices, a lot of they go back and look at that and put together a genealogy report. I haven't been around in a long time to see that, but back when I was in office, I thought that was fascinating.
Hmm.
Wow. Wow. Pastor Burns, go ahead.
Hey, now that you brought that up, I was kind of curious. Do you know, and this may not be a fair question, how far back are your records digitized versus still paper records?
I think we lost Karen.
Oh, we'll have a little break up there.
Well, I tell you what. I mean, it's one of those days, but the interview has to continue.
Yeah.
But we're going to continue talking. Lady J, set us up for a commercial, and then we'll get Karen back. But in the meantime, there she is. Well, let's get her back.
Yeah, I
Karen,
don't know what happened.
hey, I tell you what, my internet's flipping out over here too, so don't worry about it.
Yeah. Okay.
We're going to continue with the interview. So we talked about genealogy. We talked about death certificates. We talk. Do you handle gun permits in your office?
Yeah, we do the CCWs too. I left that out. Yes. So
Okay.
we do the applications, and yeah, we do the applications, and then it gets forwarded to the sheriff department, and the individuals have to go get their specialized training, and then go through their classes, and then come back, have their information submitted to the sheriff's department, and then we do the final approval.
Do you take care of jury duty as well?
Yes. Absolutely, jury duty. I have
Okay.
a jury clerk. Yes, there's so many aspects. I'm like, oh my goodness. Yes,
Yeah.
we do juries too.
And
Pastor Burns.
passports.
Well, passports are handled at the city now.
Are they?
Yeah,
Oh,
the
yeah.
city handles
First time.
the passports.
Okay.
Is it time for you to renew?
I think. Well, I don't know. I know the last time I did it there. So maybe. No, I think I got my when I got my daughters.
Yeah,
I
it's
think I said.
probably time.
Yeah, might be.
Yeah, it's probably time to renew.
Yeah, yeah.
Now,
Yeah, so
Karen, there's a party out there that just does not trust anybody. How do you deal with those people?
well, I guess all you can do is to provide the information to as they sit back and watch, they're going to be watching this office, and I'm going to ensure that there's no questions that can be latched onto as far as our integrity, making sure that everything is above reproach, that everything is transparent. Um, Once you have transparency, that's pretty hard to argue.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so, you can't change people's thought process. You can only give them the information, and if they choose to accept it, fine. If they don't, then fine. But the one thing that won't happen is that we're going to have any interruption or just upheaval for our elections. That's not going to happen.
If you talk to clerks, they say the biggest thing is the request for voting records, requests for what machines that you used. I mean, just over and over again, the stuff that's being requested, and that is
Uh-huh.
taking time away from the clerk and
Yeah,
their activities.
it does. And that is frustrating. But, with FOIA, there's nothing really you can do but provide the information and let them see how
Yeah,
wrong they are.
yeah.
Talk
Nothing.
about.
I mean, they can just, huh?
I said talk about
Yeah,
the
you can.
FOIA process.
Well, from Information Act, and anybody can request anything that's legally documented, whether information, any of the legal line, you can FOIA. And I think if they take a look back at what's transpired over the last 4 or 5 years, everything that they FOIA has come back to prove that there is nothing there. So,
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a problem with FOIA. Go ahead and FOIA, because everything's going to
Hmm.
be there. That's made. We're going to make sure that everything that's there is a. We
Yeah,
have testing of the equipment. We have public testing, so they're more than willing. I mean, more than welcome to come and participate in the public testing. If they have that much of a concern over the machines and the functioning of the machines, they're more than welcome to come to the public testing.
Talk.
If they
Yeah.
choose not to, then
Yeah. Talk about that public
talk a little
testing
bit about
because
the
I think
public
a lot of
testing.
people don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, prior to the election, there's public testing that anyone can go to in all of the precincts. And what the public testing is an opportunity for the public to see exactly how the machine works. They put in ballots and dummy ballots, and the machine runs. They can mark the ballots, they can put the ballots in, they can test the machine, they can see if the machine please merge it or if this is an opportunity for those naysayers to participate in the process. So I think it's important. Maybe that's something that I'll make sure that we focus in on too for those people that don't trust the systems, that we make it more available to the public and let our elections clerk get out in the community a little bit more and advertise it, maybe on the radio station, advertising that we're doing public testing. Put it in the, in live, making sure that people know. So you take away excuses, and I think that's the way to address that. You take away the excuses.
Mackie Anthony Smith from Houston, Texas. How you doing, sir? Says Michigan Republicans may try to
Hmm.
throw out some elections. Can they?
No, they can't throw out any elections. What they can do is challenge the results. That's done by the canvassers. The canvassers will certify the elections after each of the elections, and they're certified. Now, if they want to question the certification, they can get copies of the certifications. So, that's the narrative I think that they're trying to instill in the public, that narrative of fear. But they have no power to throw out anything. Once the elections are completed, as we've seen in the last elections, not one of the issues that they brought up were confirmed. There was nothing erroneous about the machines working. Dominion has proven that with a multi-million suit. So
Mhm.
they can try, but they won't be successful.
Pastor Burns.
Yeah, and I think most people really, like you say, when you come to those FOIA requests, most of the time people are asking stuff that is there, they just haven't paid attention. I mean, you see the
Right.
notices for the test, you can see the ballots.
Yes.
I'm always amazed. People come to me and they'll say, "Well, give me everything," and I'm like, "Just tell me what you want, and I give you that." Instead of me having to give you 500 pages, he's like, "Just tell me what you're looking for. I'll show you."
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I think that's the only way to address that, Greg, is just to put the information out there. If they choose to participate, fine. If they don't, then their challenges are going to be met with a response, a proper response, and then that once they get the response, um, which will be above reproach, so be it. So there's always going to be somebody to challenge you on some forefront. So I'm not even worried about that. I'm really not. I think that once they try once or twice, my concern is making sure that our precinct worker and poll watchers feel safe. That's important to me. No one should have to go into an election fearful.
right, right.
That's my
I think
concern.
that is my concern as Pastor Burns' concern.
Yeah,
No one should be a poll worker or even work trying to give you your rights to vote. Be
Yeah.
be threat.
Right.
I'm blown away by that.
Right. Well,
the thing is, go ahead, Karen. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, so we'll be working in collaboration with the law enforcement because I have a zero tolerance for that. That's where I draw the line. We're not going to have any nonsense in the precincts, and it's just not going to happen. I'm not going to stand for that. That's ridiculous to me. And so, yeah, I think once we get everything organized for the elections and we go through one or two, the primaries, and they see that we're serious about this and that you're not going to go into the precincts causing any problems, or you're going to be escorted out and maybe escorted, where you may not want to go. That we're not. It's zero tolerance. That's my stance right now. It's zero tolerance.
Good for you. Good for you.
Good. Yeah,
Pastor Burns.
and this environment, is so different than before. This extreme partisanship, and the poll workers are just people from your neighborhood, people from your community.
Right.
And I enjoy going in there.
Exactly.
I'll go in
Exactly.
and see everybody and speak. I'll see them once or twice a year.
Yeah.
I enjoy,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. And I
yeah,
appreciate. I mean, they're giving of their own time, and
Right.
taken away from their families to do their public service, and they're not going to be harassed and threatened and not feeling safe while they're trying to do their civic duty. So that's not going to happen.
Okay, as far as poll workers and stuff like that, it's the city's responsibility or the township's responsibility to hire those individuals.
Yes, yes, and we have precinct and precinct training. That's another thing I'd like to talk with the cities about is instead of waiting until right before the elections to do the precinct training, I think maybe quarterly we should just have a refresher. Because
Hmm.
each year things change and the precinct workers change, and I think it's just kind of nice to have a ongoing educational program in place so that they don't feel like everything's crammed at them at one time in one precinct training. So I'm going to see if we can work together and maybe do just a quarterly one. It doesn't have to be long, just an update, just to share ideas, what works in one precinct, what works in another. And I think that would make people more willing too, because I think sometimes they're so overwhelmed that and they don't come back. And it's we really want to keep our precinct workers. They're a very vital part of our election process.
Yeah, I mean, because, and then you talk about you have like two new clerks in Casnovia. You have Jen.
Yeah.
She's got almost a year in,
Almost a year. Yeah.
and so you're dealing with a
Yeah.
lot of new clerks with a presidential election
Yes.
coming.
Right. Right. So we're going
So
to have to make sure that all our I's are dotted and our T's are crossed and they feel comfortable. So next year is going to be an ongoing training and education and making sure that they feel totally comfortable for the election upcoming. But we have great support. We have a lot of seasoned clerks too. And that's the one thing I like about our clerks. They help one another. If they need help in another township, they'll go out and help. They'll help educate. So we have a cohesive group, which is really good.
That's great.
yeah, talk a little bit about that, Karen, because what you just said is that you clerks work together. I mean,
Yes.
I've seen it with Muskegon Heights,
Hmm.
and the county. You guys work together to make sure that elections run smoothly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. In fact, I had a meeting, I went to their clerks monthly meeting, and I was just amazed. They had an educational component where they brought in a gentleman from cybersecurity, and they were talking about what's it called, pleshing and ransomware, and the things to be looking for with the elections coming up, making sure that we have safeguards in place to ensure that, and even with email, I mean, it was all around information about to keep your email saved, elections saved, to do with the government, and that was instrumental in making sure that the clerks were aware. And it was funny because I had just did training for the airline just a couple of months ago, so it was kind of a refresher for me too. So yeah, and then they talked about the things that were going on in their townships and cities, and sharing ideas. And then they decided, well, let's get together next week and see how we can address this early voting. And yeah, it's an amazing group. And like I explained to them, I'm just there to support you, whatever you need. The county will be there to assist you, but you are the experts and you know what you're doing. But we're there to provide whatever support we need to do to make you successful, because with them being successful, we're all successful.
Pastor Burns.
It's good. It's good. So come around to May 1st, day one. What's the first thing you think you'll do when you sit in the big chair?
Take a deep breath, look around, and clean out the drawers.
And then
Yeah,
get ready
I'll
for
probably spend
an
my
election.
first few days. Yeah, getting ready for the election. I'll probably spend my first few hours just going to the judges and just, letting my presence be known. And
Pastor Burns.
Yep, I think we lost. I don't know if it's my computer or hers. I can't hear anything.
Hey, Karen, I think you keep breaking up on us. Yeah.
Oh, can you hear me better?
Yeah, we can hear you better. You might want to check your internet connection. I had to do that to mine as well.
Yeah, well, I'm out at my mom's. They're doing construction. That's what you hear in the background. They're doing renovating of her bathrooms and stuff. So I don't know if you can hear all that pounding. So that's probably what's interfering with my internet.
Okay. So you got an election. You have all these new changes and all these new responsibilities. Talk about your relationship with the judges that you have to do.
I really am impressed with our judiciary. I know every one of them. The only one I didn't know was Matt Casel. So he's going to be the first one that I visit because everybody else, has worked with me either through probation, state probation, juvenile court, the sheriff's department. So I've worked with them all. Um, and so I think I have a wonderful relationship with them. They know me personally. So I think it's going to be a good marriage, and of course, Judge Pittman is my lunch buddy. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to working with them and seeing what it is that they need me to do because
Hmm.
I'm willing to do whatever makes their job easier.
You work with the council as well.
I do, yeah. I'm the clerk of the commissioners. So, what's changed since I've been there is we used to have it would take 4 or 5 days to get the minutes onto the website, and now it's uploaded electronically within 48 hours. So
Wow.
that's a lot easier too. So, yeah, I'm not the best minute taker, but I have a secretary who is, so it's a blessing.
Right. Talk about the county has changed the way that they put out information on how votes coming in. That technology has changed as well.
Yeah, it has. And I really have to get myself, I go in for training next week because the system has changed. Everything's changed. I mean, even the way we access the circuit court records, everything's in a new system. So I go in next week to get updated and trained on the new election system, the circuit court system, this everything that's been uploaded into the circuit court records. So I've got a learning curve, but it'll be okay.
Well, as long as you got a flying curve, you'll be okay. Pastor Burns.
Yeah.
You used the word early on, and I want you to talk about when you use the word public service. And some people they see your signs on the billboards, election signs, and they think they glamour and glitz. But why don't you talk a little bit about your view of public service and why that draws you to taking this position?
Um, Public service means to me that the leader has to be able to be a servant.
Hmm.
And it's important. You can't lead anybody if you're not willing to face the challenges head on.
Mm-hmm.
And my heart is with people. I love people. I love being able to help. And that brings me great satisfaction is to be able to help just anyone. I don't care who you are. I don't care what party you're affiliated with. It doesn't matter to me if you're Republican, Green Party, whatever. If you want a birth certificate, if you want a death certificate, if you want a marriage license, those are the things that don't matter to me. And I know this office is partisan when it comes to the delegation of deciding the voting precinct, the voting precincts, and what have you. And but I think being a servant is what God has called me to do, and
Hmm.
to make sure that no one walks out of that office worse than when they walked in, and making sure that they feel like they're the only person that's important. And that goes a long way because I think it's important that the county building can have negative connotations too. You've got the sheriff's department, you've got the courthouse, the judicial area. Um, you have probation. There's so many negative areas. Well, people think are negative, and so I think being a servant is important. That's why a lot of times I used to walk the halls and just talk to people. This isn't a glamorous job. I mean, it really isn't. I don't know. Someone else said that to me once, and I'm like, I don't know what's glamorous about having your head in a vault, digging out files, and that sort of thing. That's not glamorous to me. But I think it's maybe the way you carry yourself and making sure that you're very visible in the community. And God gave us all talents, and I think my talent is the ability to get along with anybody. I think that's my talent. I think my talent is to try to make people feel important. Everybody's important. There's no one that um, should be able to look down on anyone based on who they are, what position they hold. None of that matters because in a twinkling of an eye, it can be gone.
Hmm.
So I just want to make sure that I stay humble, that I create an atmosphere of comfort for those that come into our office and helpfulness, and I ask my staff to do the same thing. Don't mistreat people. Don't talk down to people. Make sure that you're understanding exactly what they're asking for and make them feel like, you know what, that was the best experience I've ever had in the county building. They were so kind to me and so helpful.
Right.
I went up to records office to get a copy of my file. They were so helpful. I don't ever want to have somebody come back to tell me that my staff was disrespectful or not kind to them because that's just not the atmosphere that I would like to have in our office. I can't control everything outside my perimeter, but I can control what I'm responsible for.
What are some of the things you see in the future happening in the clerk's office?
Well, the big move. I'm really looking forward to that because your surroundings sometimes create an atmosphere of comfort too. And not
Hmm.
saying that where we are isn't comfortable, but where we're going is even more comfortable. And so I look forward to that. I look forward to making sure that the records office is kept in the arena of updating as far as technological new programs, making sure that we're up to date. Everything changes, so fast, and making sure that our elections are held to the highest of integrity.
Hmm.
So that's those right now. That's really what I'm focused on, and making sure that we get into the community more to keep people abreast of what's going on. Lack of knowledge, I think, is part of the problem why we have all these issues. You can't do better if you don't know better. So if you don't know what's going on, you can get caught up in this nonsense and looking at the news and different entities that are feeding you untruths. And so the only way to battle that is to make sure that people know the truth. And so that's one of the things that I'm going to be focusing on.
I remember we used to go down in school, excuse me, and go down to the machine and have elections. And I remember that. But we don't see a lot of that in our schools today.
We don't. And I don't see a lot of information getting into the schools for our seniors, because they're turning into young adults that are voting age. And I think it's important for them to know. So that's another area that I want to start focusing on too, is getting into the schools, even if our clerks go, and just do an informational session with the kids so that the students understand what it means to vote and how important, your local elections are, as far as the local elections really affect you more than the state and the federal elections, because that's where you live. So I think it's important for our youth to get involved, and we've kind of gotten away from that. And our kids, this generation is so far advanced than we were at that age. So I think it's a good thing to keep them abreast of what's going on. And if we don't provide the information, who will? So that's one of the things I want to focus in, is getting into the schools.
As seniors, we were made to get. You weren't made. It was just like you had to get into in political science and volunteer of the party of your choice. I
Right.
don't see that happening.
It
Getting
doesn't
involved.
happen anymore. No. And I don't know. I'm not quite sure why. I mean, when I was in school too, we had class elections and learning how to vote, and I don't know if that's the curriculum anymore. I really don't. But that's another area. I may not get to it right away, but that's an area I do want to focus in on.
Yeah, we were
Karen,
we were excited to vote to turn 18 to get our
Yeah,
first vote.
yeah.
We couldn't wait.
yeah, couldn't wait.
Yeah.
Pastor Burns, you got the last question.
Oh, Karen, we usually ask people how can they how can they reach you, but they want to wait before they try to do that. We appreciate you being on this evening, but Uh, Tell folks if they want, if you know how to get in touch with you, or if they want to catch you after the first, what they can do.
They can call to the county building, 724-6313.
Look at you,
And
got the number already.
my new email is Buie, capital B, UIE, capital K, A, at co.muskegon.us.gov.
Oh, got it.
Let me tell you, folks, your new clerk is on it. She
Uh,
got
uh,
a,
on it.
I hated to ask that because I'm like, she may not have that information yet. I'm impressed. I'm impressed, man.
Let's go to Robert Roundtree, the senior, says, I am so proud of my sister Karen. Love you. He says, I know I'm not on the a callback list, but can a brother get a call back?
I will call you, Big Rob, as soon as I hang up.
Karen, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Absolutely.
You know that we love you. The
I
biggest
love you
thing
too.
one of the biggest things we're gonna miss is that you're part of our political team. Now you have to stay neutral.
I know.
I know. And hey, you gotta stay
But
neutral.
I can come in for education.
You
Yeah.
can't. Yes, you can educate,
Educators.
Yes.
but you have to stay neutral. So we respect your boundaries.
Yes.
Thank you.
Listen, from Pastor Burns, from Karen, to, of course, me. It's the weekend. Go out and sow a seed into somebody's life, a positive seed. Go bless somebody. Take care. This has been 22. We see you next week. I'm on vacation. God bless.